Okay, another video on the subject of rational morality. Maybe I guess I sort of wish you would have waited till after you heard a couple of the top 100 facts videos, especially the one on suffering and maybe the one on fairness, and of course the first one maybe, because you start off with I don't think you can prove or derive any of this rational morality. That's an impossibility. And so I guess I would and you also said something to the effect that, not this, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that, morality is something that everybody gets to make up their own, that it's just something, it's based on your personal feelings, your personal, whatever, disposition, values, and that there's no real consequence, there's no real fact or law of reality to impose any judgment on that value system and to say it was right or wrong. And so I guess I would turn this, to get back to where I'm heading, what I believe in, and I would use the point that I think there is, once you establish a couple, yes, look, you only have to establish one thing. This is where we talked sort of before about our experience informs us, it enlightens us, it gives us knowledge, gives us an understanding. And so obviously we all know what suffering is to some degree. We have some personal experience with the element, with this thing. And so we can certainly appreciate its significance, that it is a significant event. It is not, it would be preposterous, I think, to claim it was irrelevant, that it had no meaning in the universe. Not to the universe. I don't think the universe has any kind of capacity to give a damn. My point would be that it is significant. It has a reality, a meaning, a substance. It cannot be trivialized. It cannot be reduced to just another interaction, just another meteor bouncing off a meteor thing. It's not inconsequential in the context or in the in a description of meaning. It is meaningful. It has substance as a meaningful reality. I guess this is as far as I can go. So even with that limited fact, you can build rational judgment. You can build rational an equation. And I would also say that just because of that fact, there is a reality that exists out there to be discovered regarding the exact meaning of this thing called suffering. And that we can be judged just as we would judge a machine that consumes and produces. And we would judge its efficiency, and we'd say it's 90% efficient or 50% efficient in how it does this conversion of fuel to kinetic output, how it converts potential into work. I would argue that us as individuals have it the same. We are vulnerable to the same judgment. We have a real. Our life will have a meaningful reality. We will impact the world we exist in. And some people's impact is going to be more dramatic than others, but the point is we all have an impact. We all will either be we will all have it'll either be on one side or the other of this line, of minimal efficiency. You will either be productive or you will be destructive. You will either consume more than you produce, or you will produce more than you consume. And the commodity being consumed, if there is just as it would be perhaps the conversion of energy in our judgment of a machine, it is the substance to be measured for humanity is this quantity of suffering, this quantity of conscious torment, whatever the word, however we want to describe it. I mean, obviously it comes in all kinds of scales. It's, from, mild detention we carry around with us all the time to, horrific, consuming pain. And so it's all on this scale. And so, yeah, there's all kinds of levels of it, and I'm not saying this is an easy equation, because it's not. It's an impossible equation, and we can only come close in our approximations. And so this sort of relates also to videos I've done on the subject, where I've mentioned the movie It's a Wonderful Life, because I think it's it just provides us such a clear illustration that we have a life of influence. And some of these influences have, make deliberate sense in that we do A, and it's a productive thing or a known good thing to do, and it creates a good result. And then there's this other half that's these things we do that we inadvertently don't know are destructive. We enable somebody to do something harmful to somebody else, or we enable this, or we let that happen, or we didn't see this, or we didn't see that coming, or whatever all those subtleties are. And you like I said, you could destroy something evil, but then the evil could have been responsible for a great good if you lived three more years. So it's that becomes from the individual's point of view, it becomes impossible to live this perfect life. We can only go with probabilities and with our best guess at what will produce a productive and minimally efficient life. I mean, our goal is to at least leave the world better than what we got it in, to at least reduce the amount of suffering, to be a producer, not a consumer, and that's the first minimum we strive for. So anyway, I just think it is. I think it is, just as you think it's impossible to, rationalize morality, use reason to construct morality. I think it's preposterous to think that you can avoid the fact that there is a meaning here, and that it must be our mission to discern it. It is not just to make up your own. There are realities. There are applicable, universal facts. These facts that can be not, look, there's not going to be a perfect equation. There's going to be pieces of the equation, pieces of the math. And that's probably the best we're ever going to be able to do, because we just don't have the faculties to construct it, because we can't see all the permutations. We can't see everything. But it's doable. I mean, we can get enough of it right to create a logical stream that will be reliable. Not that it won't make errors, but it will be reliable. I mean, most of the time it will come up with the right answer, because we have put in relevant and meaningful facts. So like I said, and so even like I said, the word suffering, we can always qualify it. We can qualify it with the word unnecessary suffering, and we can say that is an evil, that is a wrong, that is a bad, a negative, an element of consumption. Like a calorie, it would be the opposite of a calorie. That would be an uncalorie. That would be an antimatter, an unmeaning, an unpurpose, an ungood. Especially with that qualification, because it wouldn't be suffering in the context, oh, you need it to appreciate something, or you need it for this, you need it for that. No, it's just completely gratuitous and pointless. No one learns from it, no one gets any gain from it. It's just suffering that just, torments the individual experiencing it, and no good will come of it. And so anyway, I just don't think there's any way to logically get around the reality of the substance of suffering. It's just, like I said, we tangibly, physically, it's like seeing a miracle. I mean, we see it, we interact with it, we know it, we taste it. It's just not something. I don't think some extraterrestrial could come up to you with an argument and say, no, your suffering doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any reality. It's just a daydream. It's just mush. It just doesn't have any substance at all as a meaningful event. And I just don't think that rational argument could ever be put forward. I mean, it's just too obvious. It's too it's made too obvious through this, like I said, through this fact that we personally experience it. We know it. We know it intimately. Oh, went over the line.